Alright guys, welcome to my next random project video. Up this time is this 32-inch LG monitor. The backstory, the motivation is where I work, they were having a car show one year, and instead of, I don't have a fancy nice car, classic car, but I do have a F-150 that I've put an extensive 12-volt auxiliary system into it, and you can kind of see that sketched out here, and I just wanted to show off something a little bit different for a car show, at a car show. And so I put a briefing together, and I decided that maybe a laptop screen was a little too small. So I'm like, hey, I like a challenge. Can I get my 32-inch monitor to run off the 12-volt auxiliary system? So, let me turn this around really quick. So, if you ever read the back of the power supply for the 120 volt AC, or the back of the device or the monitor, you'll see that these things in fact run off of DC power, not AC power. In this case, it's 19 volts. Some of your other consumer devices, like an Ethernet switch, a small one might be 5 volts. A bigger one will be 12 volts. So with a little DC to DC converter, you can get most anything to run off of 12 volts. So yeah, so some other reasons for doing this. I do amateur radio, and more likely than not, I'd take a laptop out in the field, but for an extended operation or something like that, it's nice to have a larger monitor, and then having it being able to run off of 12 volts is pretty neat. Also, with the hiker, in the back there, you see maybe like movie night, having something like a TV screen that will run off of 12 volt power. It would be kind of cool. So let me just show you that this is indeed running off of my truck's 12 volt auxiliary system. Well, I'll show you part of it. I can't show you all of it right now, but so what I did was I just took the power cable that came with the monitor, snipped it, put power poles on the end, put power poles on the other end, and then this is the 12 volt to 19 volt power supply. So it's running off of that right now. Power supply runs off this Powerpole distribution block, and power for that is coming through this zip cord up to that Powerpole distribution block, which is being fed off my truck's 12 volt auxiliary system, which I will have another video on that eventually, but not right now. Alright, so this will be a two-parter. Part one will be me putting the power poles on the power supply, and it's mostly a power pole, how to do power pole terminals. And then the second part will be me installing both the power supply and the Powerpole distribution block onto the back of the monitor. So let's get started with part one, putting the power poles on the power supply. Alright, so gonna do a little power pole project here. This is a 12 volt to 19 volt DC to DC converter. I've got a LG monitor, computer monitor, that runs off a 19 volt DC, and was just kind of curious, could I make it run in the field off of 12-volt power? And I've already proven this, but what I'm going to do is attach this to the back of the monitor, so I have the power supply with the monitor instead of as a separate unit. That way I always, if I got 12-volt power, I can power the monitor. I don't have to remember to bring the power supply. So this is going to be a quick and easy job. Right on the insulation, they've got it printed 16 gauge wire, and these are the 16 to 20 gauge Powerpole terminals. These are stupid simple, so I'll just explain how it works. Well, there's a little slit down the middle here. It's still a continuous piece of metal, and it's not all the way through, but the die kind of goes in that slit. So the way this works is the die will come in like this and crimp that middle down right at that slit, and you'll get this area of compression right here on the side. So as usual, I'm just gonna butter up these ends, dielectric grease, avoid any corrosion problems. Just a quick comment about the negative leads. So these are connected electrically inside this power supply, but the case of the power supply is not connected to the negative leads. So this is not, you just can't mount this to chassis and get a good ground, but these are essentially the same ground. Alright, so I'm going to start with the black and yellow. So orientation is important, so you don't want to get one that way and one that way and then have to twist one of the wires to get it into the housing. These are fairly small wires, so you can twist them, but as you get larger, like cable size, yeah, they're hard to twist. So you want to get the orientation correct before you crimp. This is the correct, if the power pole terminal's nose is like that, then this is the correct orientation of the wires according to the most common standard. Black is over here, yellow is over here. You don't want to crimp them like this. This is what I'm getting at. So you'll see in a second. So I'll go ahead and crimp the negative. Let's see if I can show you part of it here. Oops. The best way to do this is just put it on like that and then shove it in. I was trying to be clever. Alright, there we go. Again, ratcheting crimper. Once the ratchet releases, it's good. So I'll just do the same thing. Alright. And we just want to make sure that the orientation is going to be good, and it is. Okay, give these a little tug. Make sure they're actually on. You got a good crimp is what I'm getting at. this upside down. That way the wires are on the right side. And zoom out. Just try to straighten these wires out a little bit. 16 gauge is almost a little too big for these Powerpole terminals. And alright, so looking at the orientation, they're about right. Alright. Back, come on, stay. There we go. So the next step is the housing. So I like to use red for just standard 12 volt. And you can see in there the spring tabs. The housing is bigger on the top than it is on the bottom, and the spring tabs are coming from the bottom. This is the most common polarization, with black on the right, red on the left. Or positive on the right, negative on the left, because here's the yellow I'm using for the 19 volt. So that's kind of how it should be. Alright, let's get started plugging these in. So there is a Powerpole tool to push these pins in. Sometimes you can do it by hand. Yeah, other times you're going to need a tool to push them in by pushing on the back edge of the pin. So we're going to try just pushing them in by hand first. And so black to black and red to red. All right. These things are notoriously hard to get in. Sometimes you get lucky. Right now I'm fighting dielectric grease on my fingers. Apparently these aren't going to go in today by hand, so there we go. Red went in. Don't know why black isn't going in. These things are so finicky in terms of getting them started. I mean, the issue is, like, sometimes they go in like that, sometimes they go in like that, sometimes they go in like that or like that, and they really have to go in dead on. If you have, there we go. All right, you have to really be going dead on, have any hope of getting them in. You can try putting a ton of pressure on it, but they just don't go in unless they are just right. Oh, come on. Maybe I'll start with the black. Maybe the black will be easier. There we go. Black decided to work with me. Yellow wants to fight me. There we go. Yep, if you're not dead on with that orientation. So again, you gave the wire and the terminal a tug. Now you want to make sure that the terminal's engaged in on that spring tab by giving them a tug. There's like a little lip. Here's the spring tab. That Powerpole has a lip on it, and so when you insert it, it does this and then engages and locks. And to get it out, you have to like wiggle a screwdriver right here to press that spring tab, and then you can pull it out. And I think there's a tool for that, but just a little jeweler's screwdriver seems to work for me, and voila. So this is my 19-volt power supply for my LG computer monitor. And then when I come back, we'll start installing this. We're going to learn about well nuts and looking at what's behind something before you start drilling into it. Alright, that's it for now.